Like, it set the bar so high for 2025. I'm just so excited. I'm now his biggest fan. Ooh, watch your back, okay? You will rue the day. Like, gave me the ick a little bit. Single dad and like babysitter, so love that. Really cute to see or to read. I swear it's a movie in my head. You only give a book 5 stars if it gives you that 5-star feeling. I couldn't stop reading. I couldn't put it down. And the hacker is taking them all to a destination and tells them that they are going to die. I was like, okay, kept going, and I was like, oh my god, and it's gonna be the best time of your life, girl. No, I'm devouring. She's doing what probably you would do if you were in that situation. Oh my gosh, I am eating it up. Welcome to my January wrap up. Let's cut to the chase. Let's get straight into it because I have wanted to talk about these books all month. Every single time I read one, I wanted to blurt out every feeling I've had about it. I will say this month was such a good reading month. Like, it set the bar so high for 2025. I'm just so excited. Let's talk about it. The first book I read in January was The Only One Left by Riley Sager. Now, I have had mixed feelings about Riley Sager. I've read, I want to say 2 or 3 of his other books, and every time they were kind of mid for me. This changed my mind about Riley Sager. One book, I'm now his biggest fan because this was so good. I am the harshest critic when it comes to thrillers, and I think that's because it's the genre I read the most, and I give most thrillers a 3-star, but this 5-star, baby. I want to preface this video also by saying I do not give 5 stars easily. So if I ever give a book a 5-star, you know that it's worth it to read, because I swear I've probably given maybe like 10 books in total a 5-star throughout my life. So for this book to be a 5-star, it's gonna be like my go-to thriller to recommend. A little synopsis about this book. Our main character is a caretaker, and she is assigned to a woman, and the woman is basically rumored to have murdered her entire family. Now, she was never convicted of this crime because there wasn't enough evidence, but everyone knows about it. Everyone's scared of this woman, and now our main character has to be her caretaker. I really hate giving anything away about books because I feel like it's so much better going into them blind, so that's all I'll say. But it was such a page turner. I didn't predict anything that happened, and there was probably at least 40 plot twists. Like, it was insane. Read it all in one sitting. I literally read it from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. The next book I read was Flawless by Elsie Silver. Now, I was extremely worried going into this book because this entire series is basically a cowboy romance. I've never just been into like country western type of thing, so knowing that it was like cowboy based, I really was skeptical. But to be honest, I tried to be open-minded, and it was not cringe like I thought it was gonna be. I ended up really liking it because the chemistry was good, the spice was good, there was some depth to the characters, and I just enjoyed my time reading it. And that's honestly what I use my rating system as. Like, I will rate books based off how it made me feel, how good the plot was to me, the characters, etc. It's mainly a 5-star feeling. If you know, you know. Like, you only give a book 5 stars if it gives you that 5-star feeling. This one was a 3-star, so it's not a bad rating at all. It's not the best book in the world, but I really enjoyed it and I would recommend it. The next book I read was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Okay, I'm excited to talk about this because if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I am an Ali Hazelwood stan till I die, okay? Love her. She's an auto-buy author for me. Anything she writes, I will buy immediately. However, all of her books are usually romances, and this one was a little different because it was werewolf vampire type of thing, and I really didn't know how to feel about that. So this was like the one book I didn't read as soon as it came out. I saw a lot of mixed reviews about it. A very surface level description of this book is the daughter of a very powerful vampire councilman has to marry the new alpha of the werewolf pack, and they're basically marrying each other to form an alliance between the two. So it's a marriage of convenience, it's for an alliance, however they both have their own agendas. And honestly, the first 40 pages I was hooked immediately. Like, I loved the politics of this. It was just such a fun read for me. I enjoyed it way more than I thought. I don't even know why I doubted Ali Hazelwood. Like, she always comes through with the best banter, the best spice, and the best humor. Like, I swear I was giggling while I was reading this book. Ali Hazelwood is hilarious, and her comedy always comes through her books. I was about to give this book a 5-star, and the only thing that brought it down to a 4.5 star for me was the spice. And that's because they're not humans, they're vampires and werewolves, and Ali Hazelwood definitely elaborated on that, and not in the best way, in my opinion. Like, it gave me the ick a little bit the way it was done, but that's literally the only bad thing I have to say about it. So 4.5 stars. And then I read the second book in the Chestnut Spring series, which is Heartless, and I actually enjoyed this one way more than the first one. I really liked the characters. I thought the chemistry was a lot better. This one focuses on like single dad and like babysitter, so Love that. I usually don't care for kids in books, but I feel like I found myself really enjoying that aspect of this book. I feel like he just added more to their relationship and it was really cute to see or to read. I swear it's a movie in my head. When I finished it, I gave it a 4-star, but I think looking back, I would probably give it a 3.5. Next book I read was The Storied Life of A.J. Thickery by Gabrielle Zevin. I literally didn't know anything about this book going into it. All I knew was that it was fiction and I didn't know how I was gonna feel about it, but this book made me feel things. You are literally just following the main male character. He's the owner of a bookstore. He has a lot that's happened to him in the past, and each section of the book kind of focuses on a different part of his life. And for some reason, this book was a page turner, but I don't know why. I can't explain it. I was just reading it and it felt like a whole lot of nothing because, like I said, you're really just following this guy's life, but yet I couldn't stop reading. I couldn't put it down. And I think that just says a lot about the writing. Like, the author really killed it with this book because it just felt like addictive writing. And it's a short book, so I seriously recommend it. I found myself holding back tears at the end of it. It just really makes you feel, and I was pleasantly surprised by it, so I gave it a 4-star. The next book I read was on Audible, and it was called The Passengers by John Mars. The only other book I read by John Mars is called The One, and it's one of my favorite books. I always recommend it to people, and I always describe it as a Black Mirror episode. And going into The Passengers, I had no idea that it was going to be similar at all, but it was, in the sense that it did feel like a Black Mirror episode because it was such a cool, unique concept. And before I forget, they actually brought up The One in The Passengers. Like, the book The One is basically about using your DNA and having a DNA test to find your soulmate, and they bring up that test multiple times in The Passengers. So that was just a really cute little thing I noticed. But The Passengers is basically about driverless cars. The government wants to take away self-driving cars, and the story follows, I want to say, 5 to 6 characters where they're in their cars and it gets hacked, and the hacker is taking them all to a destination and tells them that they are going to die. So I honestly had so much fun reading this. It did feel a little bit too long. I feel like if it was more condensed, it would have been more exciting, but it felt a little bit dragged on. And the ending was a little bit disappointing just because I found a trope in thrillers that I'm starting to see a lot more often, so it's becoming less exciting for me. And so since that trope was in it, it wasn't a 5-star. I gave it a 3.5. I had a lot of fun reading it. I would still recommend it to a lot of people if you like mystery, sci-fi, just really cool concepts, but 3.5 for me. My camera died, so if the lighting or setting is different at all, it's because I had to charge it a little bit real quick. But back to the program. The next book I read was Never by Jessa Hastings. Jessa Hastings wrote Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates, and if you know me at all, you know that is one of my favorite series of all time. Like, you don't understand what those books mean to me. So when she announced that she was writing Never, I remember she made a whole Instagram page about it. I remember the hype. I remember how excited I was. Now, when it came out, I remember it got a lot of hate, and so honestly, I just took a step back and I just didn't touch it. It just really put me off seeing everyone talk so poorly about it, and so but I decided I needed to pick it up and I needed to read it this year. I love Jessa Hastings so much. I wanted to see for myself. Opened the book up, started reading it. I was like, okay, why is this grabbing my attention immediately? Let's just keep going. Kept going, and I was like, oh my god, I love this premise. By the way, this is basically a Peter Pan retelling, but for adults. And I've never been like a Peter Pan girly. I don't really care for it, but I know the story, and so that was another thing that I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna care for this book. But this is basically about Wendy's granddaughter, and so she knows all about Peter Pan from Wendy's mom. They literally like tell her and prepare her, like, Peter Pan's gonna come for you, like, and it's gonna be the best time of your life, girl. But they're expecting him to come for her at like 13 or 14, like he came for them when they were 13 or 14, but then she turns 17 and she's like, okay, that must have been a prank or something because Peter Pan never came for me. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but he's obviously not coming. But then he comes when she is 17 years old. So he's older now and she's obviously 17, and that is what the book is about. She goes to Neverland with Peter Pan. And so let's go back to my thoughts while reading it. So I kept going and I was like, wait, okay, I kind of love like this premise. I love this synopsis. I'm loving the plot. Keep going. I'm devouring it. I am eating it up. I just can't even express, like, this book made me feel things. I don't know. Jessa Hastings, she didn't let me down. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't even know why I bought into everyone's hate about it. This was so much fun and just hook, okay? Hook. Oh my gosh, I loved it, okay? Hook and Peter Pan, they're both bad, but in different ways. And yes, the main character, Daphne, is dumb. She is frustrating, but that is the beautiful part of Jessa Hastings' books because the characters are broken. They're imperfect, they're flawed. It's not just a cutesy little romance. It's not like she's doing what you want her to do or what you think she should do. She's doing what probably you would do if you were in that situation. Like, she's making dumb decisions based off of her feelings, and I loved every part of it. The writing was so beautiful, the setting of it all, just the way that Jessa described Neverland, all of the characters, oh my god, I just loved it so much. I was so surprised by how much I enjoyed it. It ended off on a complete cliffhanger. So much is happening still when it ended, and I'm honestly really frustrated that it got so much hate because I feel like Jessa might not write a second book. Like, why would she when she got so much backlash? And if she doesn't write the second book to this and I don't get those answers because of those people that hated on it, watch your back, okay? You will rue the day because I need the second book. I need it. So if you also love Magnolia Parks, or you just love Peter Pan, you love fantasy, whatever it is, and you've heard a lot of hate about this book, don't listen to it. I say give it a chance, make your own decisions about it, and just know I was not disappointed. So I will say I gave it a 5 stars. And the last book that was on my January TBR was Powerless by Lauren Roberts, but I did not finish it yet. I'm currently 100 pages in, but it's now February, so I'm just gonna count this for my February wrap-up video. So the only thing I'm gonna say about it right now so far is that I'm already super hooked, and I'm only 100 pages in out of the 500, so I have very high hopes for this, but I'll keep you updated about that in the next video. Overall, it was just an amazing reading month. I will say I really fell off of reading in 2024. Like, I had read a lot in 2022, 2023, and then last year I just read, I think, like 24 books. It really wasn't that much, and I was really nervous because I was in a slump going into this year, and I was just scared that I wasn't going to get it back into reading this year, honestly, because I had read Magnolia Parks, ACOTAR, and Throne of Glass all in 2023, and I was like, I'm never gonna beat that year. Like, I'm never gonna feel those feelings that I did when I read those series. I was just feeling a little hopeless in that area, and I don't think I found any 5 stars last year, at least that I can remember. So I was like, oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna feel this year. Am I ever gonna feel that again? But this month completely changed my mindset because it was such a good reading month. It like seriously brought back my love for reading, and just like the reason I read is to feel those feelings that I felt this month. So overall, I am so excited for 2025 and just the books I plan to read this year. And that's it for today. If you want to see my updates in real time about my ratings and like my thoughts about the books, I always update my Goodreads, and I try to share my thoughts on TikTok and Instagram, but I don't always do. But I have everything linked in my bio just in case. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you in the next one.